Hey everyone! I've been in a very huge Dragon Prince mood lately, seeing as Season 2 just aired, and now I think I have way more than enough material to do a video. So what better way to celebrate my first Dragon Prince theory video than by talking about the best character that was introduced in Season 2. Okay, we also got Crowmaster.
That is great. Would you rate the service you received today as excellent?
I love you too, my sweet boy. But lore-wise, Aaravos definitely intrigues me more right now. And just look at him, skin that sparkles, amazing horns, and that voice.
Speak, so I may hear you.
Oh man, got some real chills going on right there. What's not to love? Did you know that the voice actor of Aaravos also voiced Ko the Face Stealer in Avatar The Last Airbender? That can't be a good sign for his future. But that brings me to the subject of this video. Not only will I be discussing his future, but also what we know about his past and how that shaped him into the elf he is today. So let me cover my bases if you can't really remember what went down in Season 2. Bad Dad Lord Viren had long been trying to figure out what made the mirror he found in the lair of the Dragon King so special. He tried a ton of spells to get it to reveal its secrets, but it wasn't until he got rid of all the light in the room that he was able to discover that he could view into a completely different room. After waiting long enough, an elf appeared, but this elf could not see Viren at first. Eventually the elf noticed Viren and made him do a series of tasks to be able to speak with him. We learned his name is Aaravos, and he promised that he could provide knowledge and power. Of course, Viren agrees to work with him, which eventually leads to Viren getting captured, but Aaravos promises to stay with him. At first glance, we don't really know much about him. There seems to be a spell placed upon having Aaravos' name in books. Either that or Aaravos put a spell on Viren because he knew Viren would eventually try and learn more about him. So before Viren could get a good look at the information about this elf, the stories about him turned into a jumbled mess. I will get into what we do know about these texts in a minute, but we do actually know a few more things about Aaravos. As is pretty clear, he is a star-touched elf. This type of elf is very rare and are associated with the heavens. While they don't live forever, they live a very long time, as it was compared to the timescale stars experience, which honestly is pretty close to immortal if that's the parallel they are drawing. The type of magic star elves can do is quite mysterious and involves divination, cosmic vision, and seeing into the beyond. However, Aaravos is said to be different than other star-touched elves, and it's not only because he is stuck in a magic mirror. In episode 6 of Season 2, we learned that the cube Kellum found at the Banther Lodge was called the Key of Aaravos, and is said to unlock something of great power in Zadia. As is probably obvious, we learned that Aaravos originally owned the cube. He is called an archmage, and he even mastered all 6 primal sources. Definitely getting some more Avatar The Last Airbender vibes here. Combine all this with the fact that Runan said that whatever was in the mirror was worse than death, and we already have many reasons not to trust this good-looking elf. To learn more about his past, we need to look at things that were not said, but shown in Season 2. In the 8th episode of Season 2, the Book of Destiny, Viren takes a look at a few books to find out more information about Aaravos after he learns his name. But as I mentioned before, we only get a quick glance at them before they get blurred, and they are not in English. Luckily, they are translatable. So the translations I'm about to show you are a combination of a few sources, all of which I will link in the description below. The first passage we have is in Danish. It is cut off at the end, but there's quite a lot to gather from this. It says, "Finally, he told me his name. I had never heard a name like this, but neither had I imagined an elf like him either. He is stronger, older, and wiser than any other magical creature in Zadia. Yet he is a friend to all humans. Where others look down on us, call us inferior, he sees great potential in us. When we receive the gifts Aaravos promised us, they will pay for their conceit, and become forced to see us as equals. And when we are equals, we can take our destiny into our own hands and build our future. I can see it before me." So that was quite intriguing. We can see here that this isn't the first time Aaravos has befriended a human, and a long time ago he gave them a gift that allowed them to become more powerful than the elves and dragons. But just what that gift was is something I will get to later. The second piece we got about Aaravos is a poem in Arabic. I'm going to use a translation I found on Reddit because I saw a writer mention how the subreddit's interpretation did a good job of translating it. So here's a translation from the user Throw Away This Arab. "Elarion, seeds trembling, lying on the ground on an icy night, and in the cold, she withdrew her roots, challenging the sting of the deadly winter. Elarion and her blooming flower, afraid of wilting, darkness, and death, had searched the dark for a spark, and so the eyes of the hungry dragon flared. Elarion, the frightened foundling, stretched her white branches towards the night, asking the stars to receive her light and to stop the fire of the raging dragon. Elarion, in a heavy rest, cried while the stars of the sky turned black. They wore their masks, turned their back, and left Elarion to die. Elarion, as her skin struggled with death, withered and suffered in the dark, until the last star reached out from far away, its touch, a fire, a gift, a spark. Elarian and her blinding light embraced the great black flame of night, and when she bowed, she declared her faith. He whispered, Aaravos, his name. Elarian, black-eyed child, her twisted roots spread deep and far, the human's might sparked by the light of Aaravos, her midnight star. So that was a very beautiful poem, but was quite confusing as it totally focuses on a new character named Elarian, which I could be pronouncing wrong. I have a couple of interpretations here, which I will share. What caught my eye in this translation is the word foundling. This is basically an infant that has been abandoned by its parents and cared for by others. So basically, an orphan. Now I doubt Elarian was an infant when this poem was set, but I can see her as a child. She found herself orphaned and out on a cold winter night. She may have also been chased by a dragon. But when things were at its bleakest, Aaravos came to her aid and gave her the ability to do dark magic. We see this with her eyes being described as black, and from knowing Aaravos gave her a gift. She gave her life to him and became a follower. Of course, it's impossible to tell if this was his first interaction with humans, and even if she was the first dark mage, that directly conflicts with the male dark mage we see in the first episode of season 1. But something very interesting to note is that Startouch elves seem to literally be stars. As in, they appear in the sky and can travel through space and come down when they wish to. The rest of the Startouch elves probably don't care much for the affairs of the humans and other elves. They might see themselves as above that, since they are very powerful. They might literally be born from stars, which is why they live so long. But where they saw weakness, Aaravos saw opportunity. My other initial interpretation was that Elarian and Aaravos were lovers, since we know he was called her midnight star. But now with this full translation, where it is leaning more towards Elarian being a child, I'm not so sure anymore. But if this was the case and she was an adult and they fell in love, this would be a very taboo relationship. With all this said and done, it is clear that Aaravos is a gift giver. He not only gave powers to Viren, but also to Elarion and to many more humans in the first passage. And for the former two, it's pretty easy to see that the gift they got was the power to wield dark magic. From there, the first dark mage used it, which scared the elves enough to cast the humans out of Zadia. How this knowledge of who gifted humans dark magic became completely lost is a mystery. Perhaps once the elves forced the humans out, the humans no longer wanted to remember Aaravos, even though his gift to them was passed on through the generations. Or, since Aaravos is the one who narrated the opening scene of the show, he made sure this secret was covered up. Any passages containing his name are unable to be read after all. I realize that this is also what happened in the show RWBY, with the big bad narrating the beginning monologue. But this time around, Aaravos is turning out to be an unreliable narrator. Yet he said he never lies, so what is the truth? But of course, whatever he had planned the first time around with the humans did not work out, as they were sent away from their home and later split into 5 kingdoms. Now he is back, and by teaching Viren his secrets, he may be giving his plan another shot. This time the forces in Zadia are weaker since the Dragon King has been killed. Obviously, I don't know his plan, but as a preliminary guess, I think maybe he is trying to get rid of all elves by teaching humans dark magic. They probably did not like his quest to seek out as much power as possible and punished him for it. Or maybe I'm making Aaravos seem like a worse elf than he actually is. Perhaps he also saw how unfair it was that the humans were being treated as weak by the elves and dragons when they had so much potential, and felt the need to level the playing field. While not confirmed, there are already a lot of parallels between Aaravos and the Greek myth of Prometheus. One of the creators of the show, Aaron Ehas, already stated that this is his favorite Greek myth, so it's really no surprise it is showing up in the Dragon Prince. As he mentions in an interview with Korra News, his favorite myth is about Prometheus, a titan that stole fire and gave it to the humans, elevating them. He was a divine messenger who shared these gifts with humanity, and from there the humans had to choose what they do once they obtained these gifts. But he was punished by the gods, specifically by Zeus, the god of thunder and lord of the skies. It is pretty clear that Prometheus is Aaravos and Zeus is thunder. But it was Zeus' son Heracles that eventually freed Prometheus, meaning that Zim might be the key to getting him out of the mirror. Yet we probably don't want that happening anytime soon. We can also speculate a bit about where Aaravos is trapped. As Lujan mentioned in the first episode of Season 2, the Moon Druids, ancestors of the Moonshadow Elves, would perform rituals that could open a portal to another plane.
A shimmering world beyond life and death.
Seems quite familiar if you ask me. Of course, he would probably already live a super long time, but in this realm, he likely won't be aging at all. Why he had to be put in the mirror plane for so long is a mystery, however. Star Elves seem pretty close to godlike with how long they live and their powers, and Aaravos may have been the most powerful Startouch elf ever, meaning that if he gets out of the mirror, we have a lot to worry about. Before I end this video, I would like to give a small guess about the cube that Callum has. The key of Aaravos is something only a master of all 6 primal sources can unlock. The only one that is currently able to do that is Aaravos, but as some people have been speculating, Callum may be next on the list. While I'm not the biggest fan of the theory currently, since Callum just seemed so in tune with sky magic that it felt like it was meant for him, there is a definite possibility this will happen. It is likely that only a mage that can also wield all 6 elements will be able to defeat Aaravos. So yeah, once again, Avatar. Or if 6 different creatures with all 6 arcana touch the cube, it can unlock something. I'm hoping another elf joins Callum and Rayla on their adventure next season, so maybe this will happen. I'm also curious how Harrow knew about Aaravos. Did he just know his name and that he was an archmage, or did he actually keep the knowledge of Aaravos from Viren? Viren seemed to know nothing about this elf, which doesn't make much sense. In addition, I also wrote a smaller theory about this image we got in the edit credits for one of the season 2 episodes. There may be some parallels between Aaravos' story and that of the Great Gatsby. Check it out on Cartoon Universe's Tumblr and give us a follow. So that pretty much wraps up everything I want to say about Aaravos, and I want to know what you guys think. Do you think he's just plain evil, or there's more to him than that? Let me know in the comments section. These videos take a long time to make, so if you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing and giving this video a like, or become a member of our fan club on the Cartoon Universe Amino, or becoming a patron on Patreon. And finally, I want to give a shout out to a company that I've been interning for, Secret Sauce. If you are a college student looking for an internship or a job in tech, this is an excellent resource. They have a daily email that keeps you up to date with the latest in tech news, and have an excellently curated job board where they post really cool internship and job opportunities. There's also a podcast where they interview people that are already in tech. So if you're interested in joining the tech world, even if you were in high school, you should definitely check Secret Sauce out. Just click on my referral code in the description to sign up for the newsletter. Thank you for watching, and have an animated day.